Hey, gorgeous. We need to talk. I'm about to share something with you that I honestly wasn't sure I should, because what I'm about to tell you in the next hour, it's going to completely change how you think about glow-ups, beauty routines, and why you might be struggling to get the results you want. And I'm not talking about another drink more water and use sunscreen lecture. I'm talking about the actual techniques that makeup artists use on celebrities, the psychology tricks that influencers won't admit to, and the budget hacks that could save you literally thousands of dollars. But here's the thing, I didn't set out to discover any of this. It started about 8 months ago when I was having the worst skin of my life, and I mean bad. I'm talking about waking up, looking in the mirror, and genuinely considering if I could just wear a paper bag to work. You know that feeling where you avoid your reflection in store windows? That was me, every single day. I'd tried everything. The expensive Korean skincare routines that took 45 minutes each morning. The viral TikTok hacks that everyone swore by. I dropped probably $600 at Sephora in 3 months, following advice from beauty gurus who seemed to have their lives completely together. Nothing was working. If anything, my skin was getting worse. So there I was, scrolling through YouTube at 2 a.m. watching yet another Get Ready With Me video when I noticed something weird. This girl, let's call her Sarah, was showing her affordable morning routine. But in the background of her vanity mirror, I could see products that definitely weren't the drugstore ones she was talking about. I'm talking about a 180 serum just casually sitting there, a foundation that costs more than my grocery budget, professional grade tools that most people have never even heard of, but she's telling her audience to use the $12 drugstore dupe instead. That got me curious, really curious. I started paying attention differently, watching not just what beauty creators said, but what they actually had in their bathrooms, looking at their skin in unfiltered moments, noticing the tiny details they'd edit out or gloss over. And that's when I fell down the rabbit hole that changed everything. See, I have this friend Maya who works in production. She's behind the scenes on photo shoots, fashion weeks, all that glamorous stuff. And one night, over way too much wine, I was complaining about my skin situation and she just looked at me and laughed. "Babe," she said, "you're doing everything backwards." Apparently, there's this whole world of techniques that professional makeup artists and stylists use that are completely different from what gets shared online. Not because it's some big conspiracy, but because the real techniques don't make good content. They're not flashy. They don't look impressive in a 60-second video. Some of them are actually kind of boring, but they work, like really work. Maya started telling me about what she sees backstage, how they prep models' skin before shoots, the specific order they apply products, the way they use tools that cost $10 but work better than the $100 gadgets everyone's buying. She told me about the psychological tricks they use to make models feel confident, which literally changes how they carry themselves and how they look in photos. She explained why some girls can walk into a room and command attention while wearing the most basic outfit, while others can be dressed head to toe in designer pieces and somehow still fade into the background. It's not about the products. It's not about having perfect features. It's about understanding how all these elements work together and knowing the techniques that actually create the results you want. That conversation led to Maya introducing me to some of the artists she works with. And let me tell you, when a makeup artist who's worked with A-list celebrities starts showing you how to do your foundation, it's like learning you've been speaking a foreign language wrong your entire life. Within 2 weeks of implementing what I learned, people started asking if I'd gotten work done. Friends who hadn't seen me in a while were like, "What's different about you?" My own mom asked if I was seeing someone new because I looked so much happier. But here's what really blew my mind. I was spending less money than before, way less. Because once you know the actual techniques, you realize that most of the expensive products you're buying are either unnecessary or you're using them completely wrong. There are drugstore products that professional makeup artists prefer over luxury ones. There are tools you can get for under $20 that work better than the viral ones everyone's buying for 10 times the price. And there are mindset shifts that cost nothing but change everything about how you show up in the world. I started implementing everything I learned. Not just the makeup and skincare stuff, but the confidence techniques, the styling psychology, the maintenance systems that keep everything working long term. The results were honestly kind of scary. Good scary, but scary nonetheless. I'm talking about walking into rooms and feeling like I belong there. Getting compliments from strangers. Having people assume I was more successful, more confident, more put together than I actually was. It was like I'd unlocked some kind of cheat code for life. But then I realized something that made me kind of angry. Most of the advice that's out there, the stuff that gets millions of views, the routines that beauty gurus swear by, the products that everyone's buying, it's keeping you stuck in a cycle. You try something, it doesn't work quite right, so you try something else. You spend more money, you get overwhelmed by complicated routines, and you never quite get the results you want. And that's not an accident. Think about it. If everyone knew the techniques that actually worked, if everyone could achieve their glow up goals quickly and affordably, who would keep buying all these products? Who would keep watching endless tutorials? Who would keep following these beauty accounts? The beauty industry makes money when you're constantly searching, constantly buying, constantly feeling like you're not quite there yet. But what if you could get there? What if you could achieve the glow, the confidence, the effortless style that you want and then just maintain it without constantly chasing the next product, the next trend, the next promise of transformation? That's what I'm going to share with you over the next hour. I'm going to break down the exact techniques that professional makeup artists use backstage. The psychology behind why some people just glow and others don't. The budget hacks that let you get professional results without the professional price tag. And the maintenance system that makes it all sustainable long term. But I want to be really clear about something. This isn't magic. This isn't about completely changing who you are or pretending to be someone you're not. This is about understanding the actual science and psychology behind what creates that effortless, glowing, confident vibe that we all want. It's about working with your natural features instead of against them. It's about using tools and techniques correctly instead of just hoping for the best. And it's about building systems that actually fit into your real life instead of some fantasy version where you have unlimited time and money. Some of what I'm going to tell you might challenge things you've been taught about beauty and style. Some of it might seem too simple to work. And some of it might make you a little annoyed at how much money you've spent on things you didn't actually need. That's okay. I went through all those feelings too. But here's what I want you to remember. Every single technique I'm going to share with you has been tested. Not just by me, but by professionals who make their living making people look incredible. These aren't theories or trends or things that work for one specific face shape or skin type. These are universal principles that work because they're based on how light hits your face, how colors interact with your skin tone, how fabric falls on your body, and how confidence affects the way you carry yourself. Over the next 7 parts, we're going to go deep into each area. We'll start with the foundation work, literally and figuratively. The skin prep that creates a flawless base, the mindset shifts that change how you show up, and the confidence techniques that make everything else work better. Then, we'll get into the makeup techniques that actually sculpt your face the way professionals do it. Not contouring that takes 30 minutes and looks obvious, but subtle application methods that enhance your natural features and work with your bone structure. We'll cover the hair and styling secrets that make you look expensive and put together, even when you're wearing basic pieces. The psychology behind why certain combinations just work, and how to apply those principles to your existing wardrobe. We'll dive into the budget beauty underground, where to find professional quality products for student prices, which drugstore items are better than their luxury counterparts, and how to build a complete routine that delivers incredible results without breaking your bank account. We'll talk about the maintenance system that keeps everything working long term because let's be honest, what good is a glow up if it only lasts 2 weeks? And finally, we'll put it all together into a practical day-by-day roadmap that you can actually follow, even if you're busy, even if you're on a budget, and even if you've tried and failed at glow-up attempts before. But before we get into any of the techniques, we need to talk about why your current approach isn't working. Because until you understand what's been holding you back, you'll just add these new techniques on top of the old mistakes and you won't get the results you want. And that conversation? It starts with understanding the skin prep method that makeup artists have been using for decades, but somehow never made it into mainstream beauty advice. See, there's a reason why models can get their makeup done in 20 minutes and look flawless for 12 hours, while you can spend an hour getting ready and your look falls apart by lunchtime. And it has nothing to do with having better skin or more expensive products. It has everything to do with preparation. The kind of preparation that happens before any product touches your face. The kind that creates a foundation, literally and figuratively, for everything else to work properly. Most beauty advice starts with cleansing and moisturizing. That's not wrong exactly, but it's incomplete. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece on a canvas that hasn't been properly primed. You might get okay results, but you'll never get the smooth, long-lasting, professional finish that you're actually aiming for. The technique I learned from Maya's makeup artist friends changed everything about how my skin looked and felt. It's not complicated, it doesn't require expensive products, and it takes about 3 minutes once you know what you're doing. But it's the difference between makeup that looks natural and effortless and makeup that looks like you're trying too hard. It's the difference between a glow that comes from within and coverage that sits on top of your skin like a mask. And once you understand this foundation principle, everything else, the makeup techniques, the confidence psychology, the styling choices, starts to make sense in a completely different way. That's where we're going next, into the preparation techniques that create the base for everything else to work. The methods that make the difference between looking good in photos and looking good in person. Between having a routine that works sometimes and having a system that works every time. Are you ready to find out what you've been missing? Okay, so remember how I told you that Maya's makeup artist friends completely changed my understanding of how this all works? Well, the first thing they taught me made me want to throw every beauty tutorial I'd ever watched straight into the trash. I'm sitting in this tiny makeup trailer on a commercial shoot, watching this artist, let's call her Lisa, prep a model's skin. And I'm expecting to see some elaborate routine with 15 different serums and acids and all the stuff that gets talked about online. Instead, Lisa opens her kit and pulls out 3 things. A washcloth, a bottle of something that looks like water, and what appears to be the most boring moisturizer on the planet. I'm like, that's it? And Lisa just smiles and says, honey, if you're using more than this to prep skin, you're working against yourself. That hit me like a slap in the face, because I was using way more than that. My morning routine had become this 40-minute production involving multiple cleansers, toners, essences, serums, treatments, moisturizers, primers, and whatever new product had gotten good reviews that week. I thought more was better. More steps, more active ingredients, more expensive products. But watching Lisa work, I realized I had it completely backwards. See, here's what nobody talks about when they're trying to sell you a 12-step routine. Your skin can only absorb so much. When you layer product after product, most of it just sits on top, creating a barrier that prevents your makeup from adhering properly and your skin from breathing. Worse, all those active ingredients, they're often fighting each other. You've got acids trying to exfoliate while moisturizers are trying to protect. You've got products with different pH levels basically canceling each other out. It's like having 5 people try to steer the same car. Lisa explained it to me while she worked. Professional makeup needs to last 12 to 16 hours under hot lights, through multiple outfit changes, sometimes in extreme weather. If our prep routine didn't work perfectly every time, we'd be out of a job. And their prep routine? It's shockingly simple. But simple doesn't mean basic. Every step has a specific purpose, and the order matters more than you'd think. Here's what Lisa taught me step by step. Step 1, the reset. First, you need to reset your skin to its natural pH. Most cleansers are too harsh and strip your skin, leaving it either overproducing oil to compensate or so tight and dry that makeup just sits on top like paint on cardboard. Lisa uses what she calls the washcloth method. It's not what you think. She's not scrubbing. She takes a clean, soft washcloth, runs it under lukewarm water, not hot, never hot, and gently presses it all over the face for about 30 seconds. Hot water strips your natural oils, she told me. Cold water doesn't remove anything. Lukewarm water and gentle pressure loosens everything you want to remove without damaging what you want to keep. Then she uses the tiniest amount of a gentle pH-balanced cleanser, literally a pump the size of a pea for the entire face. She works it in with her fingertips for maybe 20 seconds, then removes it with the same lukewarm washcloth technique. The first time I tried this at home, I was convinced it wasn't going to be enough. I was so used to that squeaky clean feeling that I thought meant my skin was actually clean. But that squeaky feeling, that's your skin's protective barrier being stripped away. After a week of the washcloth method, my skin felt completely different. Softer, but not oily. Calm, but not tight. It was like my skin could finally breathe. Step 2, the bridge. This is where Lisa blew my mind. Instead of immediately applying moisturizer like every tutorial tells you to do, she applies what she calls the bridge. It's basically water, but not just any water. It's thermal water or distilled water in a spray bottle. She mists the face lightly while the skin is still slightly damp from cleansing. Never put moisturizer on completely dry skin, she said. Moisture is about binding water, not replacing it. If there's no water there to bind, your moisturizer just sits on top. This explains why my moisturizer always felt like it was just sitting on my face instead of sinking in. I was applying it to bone-dry skin, expecting it to somehow create hydration out of nothing. With the bridge method, you're giving your moisturizer something to work with. The water acts as a carrier, helping the moisturizer penetrate instead of just creating another layer. Step 3, the lock. Now comes the moisturizer, but here's where technique matters more than product. Lisa uses what she calls the press method. Instead of rubbing the moisturizer in, which can disturb the water you just applied and irritate the skin, she dots tiny amounts all over the face, then gently presses it in with her palms. Friction creates heat. Heat creates inflammation. Inflammation creates uneven texture, she explained. We want everything smooth and calm. She starts with way less product than you'd think, maybe a quarter of what I was using, but because she's applying it to properly prepared, slightly damp skin, it spreads easily and absorbs completely. The first time I tried this, I kept wanting to add more moisturizer because it didn't feel like enough. But I forced myself to trust the process, and within 5 minutes, my skin looked more hydrated than it ever had with my old routine. Step 4, the wait. Here's the part that nobody talks about but changes everything. You have to wait. Lisa sets a timer for exactly 3 minutes after moisturizing. If you put makeup on skin that hasn't fully absorbed its prep, you're building on quicksand, she said. Everything will shift, separate, and look uneven. During those 3 minutes, she usually does the model's hair or sets up her brushes, but she never ever skips the wait time. This was hard for me at first because I'm always rushing in the morning, but I started using those 3 minutes to brush my teeth, pick out earrings, or just make my coffee. And the difference in how my makeup applied was incredible. Instead of foundation that looked streaky or separated, everything went on smooth and even. Instead of concealer that looked cakey, it blended seamlessly. Instead of makeup that started breaking down by noon, everything stayed put all day. The 3-minute morning trick. But Lisa taught me something else that completely changed my mornings. She showed me how to do all of this in 3 minutes flat. The key, she said, is preparation and rhythm. The night before, she sets out everything she needs. The washcloth, the spray bottle, the moisturizer. In the morning, she follows the same sequence every time, no thinking required. Washcloth under lukewarm water, press all over face, 30 seconds. Tiny amount of cleanser, work in gently, remove with washcloth, 45 seconds. Mist with thermal water while skin is damp, 15 seconds. Dot moisturizer, press in, 30 seconds. Set timer and walk away, 3 minutes. Total active time, under 2 minutes. Total routine time, 5 minutes including the wait. Compare that to my old routine, which took 15-20 minutes and left my skin feeling irritated and my makeup looking mediocre. Why your current routine might be working against you. As Lisa explained all this, I started realizing why so many people struggle with their skin and makeup application. We've been taught that more is better, when really, more is often just more problems. Here are the mistakes I was making that you might be making too. Over-cleansing. Using cleansers that strip your skin, then wondering why you're either breaking out from overproduction of oil, or why your makeup looks dry and cakey from damaged skin barrier. Layer overload. Applying so many products that they can't all absorb, creating a film that prevents makeup from adhering properly. Wrong timing. Rushing from skincare to makeup without letting anything absorb, basically mixing wet products with wet products and wondering why everything pills and separates. Friction damage. Rubbing products in aggressively, creating microirritation that shows up as uneven texture, redness, and makeup that won't stay put. pH chaos. Using products with conflicting pH levels that neutralize each other's benefits. The crazy part? I was spending probably $200 a month on skincare products, following advice from people who looked amazing but never explained the actual technique behind their routines. Meanwhile, Lisa's entire prep routine cost maybe $30 total and worked better than anything I'd ever tried. The psychology behind why this works. But there's something else Lisa taught me that goes beyond just the physical application. She explained that this routine works psychologically too. When you have a simple, effective routine that you can do perfectly every time, you start your day feeling competent and in control, she said. That confidence shows up in how you carry yourself, which is honestly more important than any product you could use. She was right. When I stopped struggling with a complicated routine that never quite worked, when I stopped second-guessing whether I was doing things right, when I started seeing consistent results every single day, something shifted in how I felt about myself. I wasn't spending my mornings frustrated and running late. I wasn't looking in the mirror thinking, this isn't working. I was starting each day with a small win, a routine that I could count on, and skin that actually looked better than it had in years. The professional secret they don't want you to know. But here's the real secret that Lisa shared with me, the one that made everything else click into place. Professional makeup artists don't focus on covering up imperfections. They focus on creating the perfect canvas for light to hit. Think about it. When you see someone who looks absolutely glowing, is it because they have perfect skin? Usually not. It's because their skin is reflecting light evenly. No dry patches that create shadows, no oily areas that create glare, no texture irregularities that break up the light. The prep routine Lisa taught me. It's designed entirely around creating that even, light-reflecting surface. Every step serves that purpose. The gentle cleansing preserves your natural moisture barrier, which reflects light better than damaged skin. The bridge method ensures even hydration, which prevents patchy absorption of makeup. The pressing technique creates smooth application without disturbing the texture. The wait time allows everything to settle into an even base. When your skin is properly prepped this way, you need less makeup to look polished. The makeup you do apply looks more natural and lasts longer, and you get that lit from within glow that everyone's trying to achieve with highlighters and filters. The drugstore dupe that changed everything now, you might be wondering what specific products Lisa uses, because I definitely was. I was expecting some professional only, expensive stuff that I'd never be able to afford. Nope. The cleanser? CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser. $8 at any drugstore. The thermal water? Evian in a spray bottle. You can literally buy a bottle of Evian water and transfer it to a spray bottle from the dollar store. The moisturizer? Vanacream Daily Facial Moisturizer. $12 and available everywhere. Total cost under $25. I spent more than that on a single serum that I thought was going to change my life. But here's what I learned. It's not about the products, it's about the technique. Lisa could probably get great results with any gentle cleanser, any pure water, and any basic moisturizer because she understands the principles behind why the routine works. What happened? When I started using this method, I committed to Lisa's exact routine for 2 weeks. No additions, no modifications, but what if I just add this one serum moment? By day 3, my skin looked calmer. By day 7, people were asking if I'd changed something. By day 14, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. My makeup was applying more evenly than it ever had. My skin looked smooth and healthy, even without makeup. The redness and irritation I'd been dealing with for months was completely gone. But the biggest change was how I felt. I wasn't dreading my morning routine anymore. I wasn't standing in front of the mirror trying to figure out why nothing was working. I had a system that worked every single time, and that confidence carried into the rest of my day. That's when I realized that this foundation work, literally the foundation of how your skin looks and feels, was just the beginning. Because once you have a perfect canvas, once you understand the principles behind creating an even base, everything else becomes possible. The makeup techniques that seemed impossible before suddenly make sense. The confidence that comes from knowing your routine works affects how you carry yourself. The time and money you save on products that actually work gives you resources to invest in the areas that really matter. But before we get into those advanced techniques, there's something else we need to talk about. Something that Lisa mentioned but didn't fully explain until later. She said that the skin prep was only half the battle. That even with perfect technique, some people would get better results than others because of something she called the confidence factor. At first, I thought she was just being nice, trying to make me feel better about my imperfect skin. But then she started explaining the actual science behind how confidence affects your appearance, and everything clicked into place. There are psychological and physiological changes that happen when you feel truly confident that literally change how your face looks. Changes that no amount of makeup can replicate, but that make every bit of makeup you do use work better. And that's where we're going next. Into the psychology behind the glow, the science of confidence, and the mindset shifts that make everything else work 10 times better. Because here's what I learned. You can have perfect technique and the right products, but if you don't understand the mental game behind transformation, you'll always be missing that final piece that takes you from looking good to absolutely glowing. Are you ready to dive into the part they really don't want you to know about? So after I'd been using Lisa's skin prep routine for about a month, something weird started happening. People kept asking me what I was doing differently, but not just about my skin. They were asking if I'd lost weight, if I'd gotten my hair done, if I was wearing different makeup. Some people even asked if I'd had work done. The thing is, I hadn't changed anything else. Same hair, same weight, same basic makeup routine. The only difference was the 3-minute skin prep and how much more confident I felt about my routine actually working. That's when Lisa dropped something on me that honestly kind of freaked me out at first. Confidence doesn't just change how you feel, she said. It literally changes how your face looks. I thought she was being metaphorical. You know, like when people say, happiness is the best makeup or whatever. But then she started explaining the actual science behind it, and I realized this wasn't some feel-good fluff. This was measurable, physical stuff happening to my face and body. And once I understood how this worked, everything else, the makeup techniques, the styling choices, the whole glow-up process, started making sense on a completely different level. The science of confidence. Face. Okay, so bear with me because this gets a little nerdy, but I promise it's going to change how you think about everything. Lisa explained that when you feel genuinely confident, not fake it till you make it confident, but actually secure and comfortable, your body makes physical changes that are visible to other people. First, your posture changes. Not just standing up straighter, but the micro adjustments in how you hold your head, your shoulders, your jaw. When you're confident, your head sits in a slightly different position that creates better angles for your face. Think about it. When you're feeling insecure or anxious, you tend to look down, hunch your shoulders forward, maybe tense your jaw. All of that creates shadows under your eyes, makes your neck look shorter, and changes the entire geometry of your face. But when you're feeling good about yourself, your head lifts naturally, your shoulders drop back, your jaw relaxes. Suddenly, your cheekbones catch light differently. Your eyes look bigger and more awake. Your neck looks longer and more elegant. Lisa showed me photos from the same shoot taken minutes apart where she coached a model through some confidence exercises between shots. Same lighting, same makeup, same everything. But in the second photo, the model looked like a completely different person. More radiant, more engaging, more present. That's not Photoshop, Lisa said. That's what happens when someone truly feels good about themselves. But the physical changes go deeper than just posture. The facial muscle connection. This is where it gets really interesting. When you're chronically stressed, anxious, or insecure, you hold tension in your facial muscles without even realizing it. Your forehead stays slightly furrowed. Your jaw stays clenched. The muscles around your eyes stay contracted. Over time, this chronic tension literally changes the shape of your face. It creates lines where there shouldn't be lines, makes your features look smaller and more closed off, and prevents your natural bone structure from showing through. But when you genuinely feel confident and relaxed, those muscles release. Your face literally opens up. Your eyes look bigger because the muscles around them aren't constantly contracting. Your cheekbones become more prominent because you're not holding tension in your jaw. Your forehead smooths out because you're not unconsciously worrying. Lisa taught me a simple exercise that demonstrated this perfectly. She had me look in the mirror while thinking about something that made me anxious, like running late for work or a difficult conversation I needed to have. Then she had me switch to thinking about something that made me feel genuinely happy and proud, like a recent accomplishment or time with people I love. The difference was shocking. Same face, same lighting, but I look like a completely different person in a matter of seconds. This is why some people can walk into a room wearing the most basic outfit and somehow look incredible, she said, and why others can be wearing designer everything and still somehow look off. The circulation factor. But there's another piece to this that nobody talks about: blood flow. When you're stressed or insecure, your body redirects blood flow away from your skin and toward your vital organs. It's an evolutionary survival response. Your body thinks you're in danger, so it prioritizes keeping you alive over keeping you looking good. This is why you look pale and tired when you're stressed. Why your skin looks dull even when your routine is perfect. Why under eye circles seem darker when you're going through a hard time. But when you feel genuinely confident and relaxed, blood flow returns to your skin. You get that natural flush, that healthy glow that people spend hundreds of dollars trying to recreate with blush and highlighter. Lisa told me about working with actors who would literally change color between takes depending on how they were feeling about their performance. The camera picks up everything, she said. You can't fake good circulation. This explains something I'd noticed but never understood. On days when I felt really good about myself, when my routine worked perfectly, when I liked my outfit, when I felt prepared and confident, people would compliment my glow, even when I was wearing minimal makeup. But on days when I felt insecure or stressed, I could spend an hour getting ready and still somehow look washed out. It wasn't about the makeup. It was about what was happening underneath, the mirror neuron effect. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Lisa explained that there's something called mirror neurons that make people subconsciously mirror the emotional state of the people around them. When you feel genuinely confident and comfortable in your own skin, other people pick up on that energy and mirror it back to you. They unconsciously straighten up, smile more, engage more positively, which makes you feel even more confident, which makes them respond even better, and so on. But when you're feeling insecure or uncomfortable, people mirror that too. They might not even realize why, but they feel less relaxed around you. They're less likely to make eye contact, less likely to smile, less likely to engage warmly. This is why some people seem to light up every room they walk into, Lisa said. It's not just about how they look, it's about the energy they're putting out and how that affects everyone around them. This was a huge aha moment for me. I realized that on my best days, the days when people told me I looked amazing, I wasn't just looking different. I was feeling different, which was making other people feel different around me, which was making me feel even better. It was this positive feedback loop that had nothing to do with products or techniques and everything to do with genuine confidence. The mindset shift that changes everything. So, after learning all this, I started paying attention to my internal dialogue when I was getting ready in the morning. And honestly, it was brutal. I was standing in front of the mirror, basically narrating all my flaws to myself. Ugh, this breakout looks terrible. My eyes look so tired. This foundation isn't covering anything. I look awful today. No wonder I looked and felt awful. I was literally training my brain to see problems and my body to respond with stress. Lisa taught me something she calls the artist's eye. a way of looking at yourself that professional makeup artists use when they're working on clients. Instead of looking for problems, you look for features. Instead of focusing on what you want to hide, you focus on what you want to enhance. Instead of seeing flaws, you see a canvas with interesting angles, colors, and textures. When I work on a client, she said, I don't see acne or tired eyes or whatever they're insecure about. I see bone structure, skin tone, eye shape, lip texture. I see materials to work with, not problems to fix. She taught me to do the same thing when I looked in the mirror. Instead of immediately cataloging everything I didn't like, I started looking for one thing I could enhance. Maybe it was the way light hit my cheekbones. Maybe it was the color of my eyes. Maybe it was the shape of my lips. The shift was subtle but powerful. When you're looking for beauty instead of flaws, you find it. And when you find it, you feel different. And when you feel different, you look different. The preparation confidence loop. But here's where the skin prep routine from part 2 becomes crucial. Lisa explained that confidence isn't just about mindset. It's also about competence. You can't fake confidence if you don't trust your routine, she said. But when you know your skin prep works, when you know your makeup is going to apply evenly, when you know you have a system you can count on, that creates real confidence. This is why the 3-minute routine was so game-changing for me. It wasn't just about better skin, though that definitely helped. It was about having a morning routine that I could execute perfectly every single time. When I stopped struggling with complicated routines that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't, when I stopped second-guessing whether I was doing things right, when I started seeing consistent results, my whole energy shifted. I went from approaching my mirror with anxiety, wondering if today would be a good skin day or a bad one, to approaching it with calm confidence. I knew what I was doing, I knew it would work, and I could focus on enhancement rather than damage control. That shift in energy was visible. People could see it in how I carried myself, how I made eye contact, how I moved through the world. The social proof spiral. Once I started getting positive feedback, people complimenting my glow, asking what I was doing differently, treating me like someone who had their stuff together, something interesting happened. I started believing it myself. This is something psychologists call social proof. When other people treat you like you're confident and put together, you start seeing yourself that way too. And when you see yourself that way, you start acting that way more consistently. But here's the thing, it started with making small, real changes. The skin prep routine, the mindset shift from problem finding to feature enhancing, the confidence that comes from having systems that actually work. I wasn't faking confidence. I was building it through small, consistent actions that created visible results. Why some girls glow effortlessly. This is when everything clicked for me about why some people seem to effortlessly glow while others struggle. It's not about having better skin or prettier features or more expensive products. It's about having systems they trust. A mindset focused on enhancement rather than concealment, and the confidence that comes from genuine competence. Think about the girls you know who always look put together, even in casual clothes or minimal makeup. I bet if you pay attention, you'll notice that they move differently. They make eye contact more easily. They carry themselves like they belong wherever they are. That's not genetic, that's learned. That's the result of building genuine confidence through small, consistent actions. Lisa told me about working with celebrities who are absolutely stunning in photos but surprisingly insecure in person. The camera can capture physical beauty, she said, but it can't create confidence. That has to come from within. On the flip side, she's worked with people who might not have traditionally perfect features, but who absolutely glow because they genuinely like themselves and trust their routines. Confidence is the best foundation you can wear, she said. Everything else just builds on that. The daily confidence ritual. Based on everything Lisa taught me, I developed what I call my daily confidence ritual. It's become as important as the skin prep routine, and honestly, it's what makes everything else work. Every morning, after I finish the 3-minute skin routine, but before I start applying makeup, I take 30 seconds to do what Lisa called the artist's eye scan. I look in the mirror and find one thing I genuinely appreciate about my face that day. Maybe it's how rested my eyes look. Maybe it's the natural flush in my cheeks. Maybe it's just the fact that my skin feels smooth and healthy. I don't force positivity or lie to myself. I just look for one real thing that I can appreciate and enhance. Then I set an intention for how I want to feel that day. Not how I want to look, but how I want to feel. Confident, calm, present, whatever feels authentic for that moment. It sounds simple, and it is, but it completely changed my relationship with getting ready. Instead of starting from a place of anxiety and problem solving, I start from a place of appreciation and intention. That shift in starting point changes everything that comes after. The compound effect. The crazy thing about all this psychological stuff is how it compounds over time. When you feel more confident, you make better choices about everything: what to wear, how to do your makeup, how to carry yourself. When you make better choices, you get better results. When you get better results, you feel more confident. It becomes this positive spiral where everything reinforces everything else, but it starts with small, concrete changes. For me, it started with the skin prep routine that I could trust, combined with a mindset shift from flaw finding to feature enhancing. Those two simple changes created a foundation of confidence and appreciation that affected everything else. Professional secret about confidence. Here's something Lisa told me that I think about all the time. The most beautiful people I work with aren't the ones with perfect features. They're the ones who are genuinely comfortable in their own skin. She explained that when someone is truly comfortable with themselves, it shows in 1,000 micro ways. How they hold their head, how they breathe, how they make eye contact, how they smile. You can teach someone perfect makeup technique, she said, but you can't teach someone to be comfortable with themselves. That's work they have to do. But here's the good news. That work doesn't have to be huge, dramatic self-love journey stuff. It can start with simple, practical changes that build real confidence through real competence. When you know your skin prep routine works, you feel more confident about your skin. When you understand how to enhance your features rather than hide your flaws, you feel more confident about your face. When you have systems you can trust, you feel more confident about your ability to show up looking put together. That practical confidence becomes genuine confidence, and genuine confidence is what creates that effortless glow that everyone's trying to achieve. What this means for everything else. Understanding the psychology behind the glow changes how you approach every other aspect of your routine. When you realize that confidence literally changes your face shape, you understand why posture and mindset matter as much as makeup technique. When you understand that blood flow affects your skin's appearance, you realize why feeling good matters as much as any product you could use. When you grasp how mirror neurons work, you understand why authenticity beats perfection every single time. All of this becomes the foundation for everything we're going to cover next. Because once you have your skin prep dialed in and you understand the confidence factor, you're ready for the makeup techniques that actually work. But these aren't the techniques you'll find in most tutorials. These are the professional methods that work with your psychology and your bone structure, rather than against them. These are the techniques that create that natural, bright, effortless look that makes people ask what you're doing differently. The methods that enhance your features rather than covering them up. The application tricks that work with your confidence rather than undermining it. And they start with understanding something that completely flipped my understanding of how makeup is supposed to work. Most people think makeup is about adding things to your face: color, coverage, definition. But professional makeup artists think about it completely differently. They think about light, how it hits your face, where it gets trapped, where it bounces off, how to control it to create the illusion of perfect bone structure and flawless skin. Once you understand how to work with light instead of just piling on products, everything changes. You need less makeup to look more polished. Your features look more defined with subtle techniques, and you get that lit from within glow that no amount of highlighter can replicate. That's where we're going next, into the makeup techniques that work with light, with your bone structure, and with the confidence you're building rather than against them. Are you ready to learn the rules they don't teach you? So there I was, watching Lisa work on this model, and I swear I thought I was losing my mind. She was applying foundation in the complete opposite direction from everything I'd ever been taught. Instead of blending downward, she was working upward. Instead of starting with the areas that needed the most coverage, she was starting with the areas that looked fine already. And instead of that familiar routine of foundation, then concealer, then powder, she was doing something that looked completely backwards. But the results? The model looked like she had perfect skin and incredible bone structure, and I could barely tell she was wearing any makeup at all. Everything you've been taught about makeup application is designed to sell you more products, Lisa said, catching my confused expression. The techniques that actually work, they're not good for business. That's when she started explaining what she called light theory, the actual science behind why professional makeup looks so different from the makeup you see in tutorials. Forget everything you know about foundation. Here's the thing that blew my mind. Professional makeup artists don't think about foundation as coverage. They think about it as light management. When light hits your face, it creates highlights and shadows that define your bone structure. The goal isn't to cover everything up. It's to control where light bounces and where it gets absorbed, so your natural features look their absolute best. Most foundation tutorials teach you to apply product where you have problems, blemishes, redness, dark circles. But Lisa explained that this approach actually creates more problems than it solves. When you pile coverage onto problem areas, you create texture differences that catch light unevenly, she said. Instead of hiding imperfections, you're actually highlighting them. The professional approach is completely different, the reverse application method. Lisa showed me what she calls reverse application. Instead of starting with your worst areas, you start with your best areas. Here's how it works. First, you apply the thinnest possible layer of foundation to your entire face. And I mean thin. Lisa uses about half the amount I was using, applied with a damp beauty sponge in gentle pressing motions. But here's the key. She doesn't try to achieve full coverage with this first layer. She's just creating an even base for light to hit. Then, instead of adding more foundation to problem areas, she uses concealer strategically, but not where you think. Most people use concealer to spot cover blemishes. Lisa uses it to highlight. She applies concealer in an upside-down triangle under each eye, extends it slightly onto the cheekbone, and blends it upward. Then she adds tiny amounts to the center of the forehead, the bridge of the nose, and the center of the chin. You're not covering darkness, she explained. You're adding light. The blemishes and redness, those get addressed with color correction before the foundation ever goes on. A tiny dot of green primer on red areas, a touch of peach corrector on dark circles, but only where absolutely necessary. The result is skin that looks naturally flawless rather than covered up. You can't tell where the makeup starts and stops because you're working with your skin's natural light reflection rather than against it. Why blending upward changes your face shape. This was the part that completely revolutionized how I thought about makeup. Lisa explained that the direction you blend actually changes the perceived shape of your face. When you blend downward, the way most tutorials teach, you're following and emphasizing the natural downward pull of gravity. This makes your features appear to droop, your face look longer, and your overall expression seem tired or sad. But when you blend upward, you're fighting gravity. You're lifting your features, making your face appear more youthful and creating the illusion of better bone structure. She demonstrated this on herself, doing one side of her face with downward blending and one side with upward blending. The difference was shocking. The upward blended side looked years younger and more awake. This is why some people can apply makeup perfectly but still look tired, she said. They're working against their face instead of with it. The upward blending technique applies to everything. Foundation gets pressed upward and outward from the center of the face. Concealer gets blended upward toward the temples. Blush gets swept upward from the apples of the cheeks toward the hairline. Even powder gets pressed upward. It sounds like a small change, but it completely transforms the final result. Your cheekbones look higher, your eyes look more lifted, your whole face looks more youthful and awake. The 30-second eye trick that changes everything. But the technique that absolutely floored me was what Lisa calls the wake-up trick. You know how some people can look bright-eyed and alert even when they're exhausted, and others can get a full night's sleep but still look tired? Lisa showed me that it's all about the eyes, specifically how light hits the eye area. When you're tired, your eyelids get slightly puffy and your under eye area gets darker. This creates shadows that make your eyes look smaller and less defined. Most people try to fix this with eyeshadow and concealer, but Lisa taught me something completely different. She takes a tiny brush, literally the smallest eyeshadow brush in her kit, and applies the tiniest amount of highlighter to 3 specific spots: the inner corner of each eye and the center of each eyelid, right on the mobile lid. But here's the trick. She doesn't use typical highlighter. She uses the same concealer she used under the eyes, just applied with precision to these 3 points. Then she takes an even smaller brush and adds a barely there amount of actual highlighter, like the kind that comes in a compact, to just the inner corners. The whole process takes maybe 30 seconds per eye, but the result is incredible. Your eyes instantly look bigger, brighter, and more awake. Even when you're wearing no other eye makeup, you look put together and alert. Most people try to make their eyes look bigger with dark colors and complex techniques, Lisa explained, but the easiest way to open up your eyes is just to add light where light naturally hits when you're young and well rested. The professional brush technique you've never heard of. Here's another thing that changed my entire makeup game. Lisa taught me that the brush matters way more than the product. I'd been using the brushes that came with my makeup or buying whatever was cheapest. But Lisa showed me that technique with the right tools trumps expensive products every single time. Her most used brush? A $12 damp beauty sponge from the drugstore, but she uses it completely differently than I'd been taught. Instead of rubbing or wiping motions, she uses only pressing and rolling motions. She dampens the sponge with thermal water, remember the bridge technique from part 2, then uses it to press foundation into the skin rather than wiping it across the surface. Wiping disturbs your skin prep and creates streaks, she said. Pressing preserves the smoothness you created and builds coverage gradually. For powder, she taught me something called the rolling technique. Instead of using a big fluffy brush in sweeping motions, she uses a smaller, denser brush in tiny rolling motions, focusing only on areas that actually need oil control. Most people powder their entire face because they think they should, she said, but powder absorbs light. The less you use, the more your skin glows. The color theory they don't want you to know. But the biggest revelation was when Lisa started talking about color. Most makeup tutorials focus on matching your skin tone perfectly, finding your exact shade, making sure everything blends seamlessly. But Lisa explained that perfect matching actually makes you look flat and one-dimensional. Skin has natural variation, she said. Slight color differences create dimension and life. When everything matches perfectly, you look like a mannequin. Professional makeup artists intentionally use slightly different shades in different areas to create the illusion of natural dimension. They might use a foundation that's slightly warmer on the center of the face, where sun naturally hits, and slightly cooler on the perimeter. They might use concealer that's half a shade lighter than the foundation to create natural-looking highlights. This explains why some people can wear makeup that doesn't quite match their skin tone and still look amazing, while others can have a perfect color match and somehow look off. It's not about perfection. It's about creating natural-looking variation that mimics how light naturally interacts with healthy skin. The blush placement that changes your face. Lisa also taught me something about blush that completely changed how I thought about face shape. Most tutorials tell you to smile and apply blush to the apples of your cheeks, but Lisa explained that this technique actually drags your face downward and makes you look older. Instead, she places blush on the upper part of the cheekbone, blending upward toward the temple. You want to create the illusion that you're naturally flushed from good circulation, she said. Natural flush happens on the high points of your face, not the droopy parts. This upward placement lifts your entire face, makes your cheekbones look higher, and creates a more youthful appearance. She also taught me that blush should connect to your eye makeup, even if you're barely wearing any. Everything on your face should feel connected, she said. When elements feel disconnected, you look like you're wearing a mask. So she takes the same blush and lightly sweeps it across the outer corner of the eyelid just on the bone beneath the brow. It's so subtle you can barely see it, but it creates this cohesive, natural look. The lip technique that makes everything look expensive. Even though we were focusing on base makeup, Lisa showed me one lip technique that ties everything together. Most people either wear bold lipstick or nothing at all, but Lisa taught me something she calls lip balancing. You take whatever blush you used on your cheeks and apply just the tiniest amount to your lips, blending it with your finger. Then you add clear gloss or a tinted lip balm on top. The result is lips that look naturally flushed and healthy, like you just had a great workout or came in from the cold. It coordinates with your blush without looking matchy-matchy, and it makes your whole look feel cohesive and expensive. Why these techniques actually work. As Lisa explained all of this, I started understanding why these professional techniques work so much better than the stuff you see online. The techniques you see in tutorials are designed to be dramatic and visible. They need to show up clearly on camera, work with ring lighting, and create obvious before and after differences. But professional techniques are designed to look natural in real life, under various lighting conditions and from multiple angles. They're subtle, which makes them harder to teach in a quick video, but they create results that look effortless and expensive rather than obviously made up. The lighting reality check. Lisa also taught me something that changed how I thought about makeup in general. The lighting test. Makeup that only looks good in your bathroom mirror isn't good makeup, she said. She had me check my makeup in 4 different types of lighting: bathroom fluorescent, natural window light, overhead office lighting, and warm evening light. The difference was shocking. Makeup that looked perfect under my vanity lights looked completely different everywhere else. This is why professional makeup artists use multiple light sources when they work, and why they're constantly checking their work from different angles. Lisa taught me to do my makeup near a window whenever possible, and to always check the result in at least 2 different lighting situations before leaving the house. The time reality. Here's something else that blew my mind. Lisa's entire base routine, foundation, concealer, blush, the eye trick, everything, took less than 5 minutes. Not because she was rushing, but because the techniques are actually more efficient than the complicated methods most people use. When you're working with your features instead of against them, when you're using the right tools with the right technique, when you understand the principles behind what you're doing, everything goes faster and works better. I'd been spending 20 minutes on my foundation alone, layering and relayering, trying to build coverage and fix problems. Lisa achieved better results in 3 minutes by working smarter, not harder. What happened? When I started using these techniques, I committed to practicing Lisa's exact methods for 2 weeks, and I'm going to be honest, the first few days were frustrating. Going against everything I'd been taught felt wrong. Using less product felt like I wasn't doing enough. The upward blending felt awkward at first, but by day 4, something clicked. My makeup started looking more natural and polished at the same time. People were complimenting my glow when I was wearing less makeup than ever before. By the end of 2 weeks, I looked like a different person. Not dramatically different. I still looked like me, but like the best version of me, like I'd figured out some secret that made everything work perfectly. The crazy part was how much time and money I was saving. Less product, fewer tools, simpler techniques, but dramatically better results. The professional secret about natural makeup. This is when Lisa told me something that really stuck with me. The most natural looking makeup actually requires the most skill. She explained that dramatic makeup, bold colors, heavy contouring, obvious techniques is actually easier to do because small mistakes don't matter as much. But natural, effortless looking makeup has to be perfect. Every line has to be clean, every blend has to be seamless, every color has to be exactly right. There's nowhere to hide mistakes. This is why professional makeup artists charge more for no makeup looks, she said. They're actually harder to create than dramatic looks. But here's the good news. Once you understand the principles, light management, upward blending, strategic placement, natural makeup becomes much more achievable. You're not fighting against your features or trying to transform yourself into someone else. You're just enhancing what's already there using techniques that work with your bone structure and skin tone. The confidence connection. Remember all that stuff from part 3 about how confidence changes your face? These makeup techniques work with that psychology rather than against it. When you're wearing makeup that looks natural and enhances your features, you feel more confident because you still look like yourself, just better. When your makeup routine is simple and reliable, you feel more confident because you're not stressed about whether it's working. When you understand the principles behind what you're doing, you feel more confident because you can adapt and troubleshoot instead of just following steps blindly. All of that confidence shows up in how you carry yourself, which makes the makeup work even better. The connection to everything else. Understanding these makeup principles changes how you think about everything else too. When you realize that upward movement creates lift and youth, you start thinking about that with hairstyling and clothing choices. When you understand how light management works with makeup, you start noticing how it works with fashion and accessories. When you grasp the importance of working with your natural features rather than against them, you start applying that philosophy to your entire approach to style and self-presentation. But before we get into all of that, there's one more crucial piece of the makeup puzzle that Lisa taught me. She showed me how all of these techniques connect to create what she calls signature style, a consistent look that enhances your specific features and works with your lifestyle, rather than just copying whatever's trending. Because here's what I learned. The goal isn't to look like everyone else who's following the same tutorial. The goal is to look like the absolute best version of yourself. And that requires understanding not just the techniques, but how to adapt them to your specific face shape, coloring, lifestyle, and personal style. That's where we're going next, into the hair and style secrets that tie everything together. The psychology behind why certain combinations just work, and how to create a signature look that makes you feel like the most confident, put together version of yourself. Because once you have the foundation and makeup dialed in, everything else becomes possible. But it all has to work together as a cohesive system, rather than just a collection of individual techniques. Are you ready to see how all the pieces fit together? So, after I'd been using Lisa's makeup techniques for about a month, I started noticing something weird happening when I went out. People were treating me differently. Not dramatically, but in these subtle ways that started adding up. Servers were more attentive, people held doors open more often, strangers smiled at me more, even my boss seemed to take me more seriously in meetings. At first, I thought it was just the confidence boost from having a routine that actually worked. But then I met Lisa's friend Carmen, who works as a wardrobe stylist for executives and celebrities. And Carmen took one look at me and said, "Your face looks incredible, but your styling is fighting against you." That stung a little, not gonna lie. I thought I dressed pretty well. I followed fashion bloggers, I knew the trends, I'd invested in what I thought were good pieces. But Carmen explained something that completely changed how I thought about clothes, hair, and the whole concept of looking put together. Most people think style is about following trends or wearing expensive things, she said. But professional styling is about visual psychology. It's about understanding how different elements work together to create a specific impression. The professional hair secret that changes everything. Carmen started with my hair, which honestly surprised me. I thought we'd talk about clothes first. Hair frames your face, she said. It's the first thing people see, and it sets the tone for everything else. You can be wearing a $2,000 outfit, but if your hair looks cheap, that's what people will remember. I was expecting some complicated styling tutorial, but what she taught me was shockingly simple. She called it the Polish technique, and it's based on how professional hairstylists finish every single style, whether it's for a red carpet event or a basic blowout. Here's the thing. Most people think good hair is about the cut, the products, or the styling tools, but Carmen showed me that expensive looking hair is actually about the finish. She demonstrated on my hair, which was just air dried and pretty basic. She took a tiny amount of hair oil, literally 3 drops, and warmed it between her palms. Then, instead of applying it to my hair directly, she gently pressed her palms over the entire surface of my hair from roots to ends, without actually touching the hair. "You're creating a microscopic layer that controls light reflection," she explained. "This is what makes hair look shiny and healthy instead of dull and damaged." The difference was immediate and dramatic. My hair went from looking fine to looking like I'd just stepped out of a salon. But then she showed me the second part of the technique that really blew my mind. She took a fine-tooth comb and very lightly combed just the top layer of my hair in the direction it naturally wanted to lay. Not all of my hair, just the surface layer. "This smooths the hair cuticles so they all reflect light in the same direction," she said. "It's the difference between looking polished and looking messy." The entire process took maybe 2 minutes, but my hair looked completely different. Smoother, shinier, more intentional, like I'd actually done something with it, even though the style was exactly the same. Carmen explained that this technique works on any hair type, any length, any style. "It's not about changing your hair," she said. "It's about making whatever you're already doing look expensive." The psychology of put together. But then Carmen started explaining something that completely shifted how I thought about getting dressed. She pulled out her phone and showed me 2 photos of the same woman, same hair, same makeup, same basic black dress. But in one photo, she looked fine. In the other, she looked like she had her life completely together. "What's the difference?" Carmen asked. I studied the photos for a few minutes. The dress was identical, the hair looked the same, the makeup was the same, but something was definitely different. Finally, I gave up. "I have no idea." "Posture, proportions, and polish," Carmen said. "The 3 Ps of professional styling." In the second photo, the woman was standing slightly differently. Her shoulders were back, her head was lifted, her weight was distributed evenly. But more than that, her clothes were fitting differently. "Same dress," Carmen said, "but in the second photo, it's been tailored to her body. The shoulders hit at exactly the right spot. The hem is the perfect length. The waist is taken in just enough to create shape without looking tight." She explained that fit is 80% of looking expensive and put together. You can wear a $20 dress that fits perfectly and look more polished than someone wearing a $200 dress that doesn't fit right. "Most people focus on finding the right clothes," she said, "but professional styling is about making clothes work for your specific body. The $10 styling hack that looks like $1,000. This is where Carmen taught me something that literally changed my entire wardrobe without buying a single new piece. She showed me how to do basic tailoring myself at home with just a sewing kit and about 10 minutes per garment. I'm talking about simple adjustments that make everything fit better. Taking in side seams on shirts so they skim your body instead of hanging loose. Hemming pants to the exact right length for your height and the shoes you wear most. Adjusting sleeve lengths so they hit at the most flattering point on your wrist, taking in waistbands slightly, so pants sit at your natural waist instead of sliding down. "You don't need perfect sewing skills," she said. "You just need things to fit your body correctly." She showed me how to do a basic side seam adjustment on a shirt I'd been wearing loose because I thought that was more flattering. After 15 minutes of simple hand stitching, the shirt looked like it had been custom made for me. The difference was incredible. Instead of looking like I was drowning in fabric, I looked intentional and polished. The same shirt I'd owned for months suddenly looked expensive. Carmen explained that most people avoid tailoring because they think it's complicated or expensive. But basic fit adjustments are actually pretty simple, and they make more difference than any new purchase you could make. The third piece. Rule that changes everything. But then Carmen taught me something she calls the 3-piece rule, and this completely revolutionized how I got dressed every day. "Most people think an outfit is a top and a bottom," she said, "but professional styling always includes a 3rd piece that ties everything together and adds visual interest." She showed me how this works with my existing clothes. I was wearing jeans and a sweater, pretty basic, but then she added a structured blazer, and suddenly I looked like I knew what I was doing. The 3rd piece serves multiple functions, she explained. It adds visual weight, creates structure, provides color or texture contrast, and gives the outfit intentionality. The 3rd piece doesn't have to be a blazer. It could be a scarf worn in a specific way, a statement necklace that adds visual weight, a cardigan or jacket in a contrasting texture, a belt that defines your waist, a structured bag that adds polished shoes that pick up a color from elsewhere in the outfit. But here's the key. The 3rd piece has to feel intentional, not like an afterthought. Carmen showed me how to choose third pieces that work with multiple outfits so I wasn't buying things I'd only wear once. She helped me identify pieces that could work as a third element in 5 or 6 different outfit combinations. The color psychology they don't teach you. This is where things got really interesting. Carmen started explaining how colors affect not just how you look, but how people perceive you and how you feel about yourself. Colors have psychological associations that people respond to subconsciously, she said. When you understand how to use this, you can literally influence how people react to you. She wasn't talking about the basic wear red to feel confident stuff. She was talking about much more nuanced color relationships. For example, she showed me that wearing colors close to your skin tone makes you look more trustworthy and approachable, while high contrast colors make you look more authoritative and attention-grabbing. She explained that monochromatic outfits, different shades of the same color, create visual coherence and make you look taller and more polished, while complementary colors, opposite on the color wheel, create energy and make you look more dynamic. But the most useful thing she taught me was what she calls color anchoring. Instead of trying to coordinate everything perfectly, you choose one color that appears in small amounts throughout your outfit. Maybe it's the blue in your scarf that matches the blue in your shoes. Maybe it's the gold in your jewelry that matches the gold hardware on your bag. When people see visual connections in your outfit, they assume you're detail-oriented and put together, she said. It's a subconscious signal that you know what you're doing. The proportion secret that makes you look taller and slimmer. Carmen also taught me something about proportions that completely changed how I chose and wore clothes. Most people dress for their actual body, she said, but styling is about creating the illusion of ideal proportions, regardless of your actual measurements. She explained that the human eye is naturally drawn to certain proportion ratios, and when your clothing follows these ratios, you automatically look more balanced and attractive. The key ratio she taught me was the golden ratio applied to clothing, roughly 60, 40, or 70, 30 divisions. This means if you're wearing a long top, you want it to hit at a point that creates a 60-40 ratio with your legs. If you're wearing a short top, you want the bottom portion, skirt or pants, to be about 60% of your total outfit. She showed me this with different outfit combinations, and the difference was shocking. When the proportions were off, say a top that hit right at my hip bone, creating a 50-50 split, I looked shorter and wider. When the proportions followed the golden ratio, I looked taller and more balanced. This is why some people can wear oversized clothes and look effortlessly chic while others look sloppy in the same pieces, she said. It's all about where the proportions hit. The accessory strategy that ties everything together. But the biggest game changer was how Carmen taught me to think about accessories. Most people choose accessories based on what they like or what matches. But Carmen explained that professional styling uses accessories strategically to direct attention and create visual balance. She taught me something called the triangle principle. In any well-styled outfit, you want to create visual triangles that draw the eye around your body in a flattering pattern. For example, if you're wearing statement earrings, you might add a belt and a structured bag to create a triangle of visual interest. If you have a bold necklace, you might add interesting shoes and a watch to balance it out. The goal is to create movement for the eye, she said. When someone looks at you, their eye should travel in a pleasing pattern that takes in your whole look, rather than getting stuck on one element or finding nothing interesting to look at. She also taught me about visual weight, the idea that different accessories have different amounts of presence and you need to balance them carefully. A chunky statement necklace has a lot of visual weight, so you'd pair it with simpler earrings and maybe a structured shoe. A delicate necklace has less visual weight, so you can add more interest with bolder earrings or a patterned scarf. The confidence connection. Just like with the makeup and skincare techniques, Carmen explained that the styling principles work partly because of how they make you feel. When your clothes fit properly, when your proportions are balanced, when your accessories feel intentional, you carry yourself differently, she said. And how you carry yourself affects how everything looks on you. She was right. When I started applying these principles, I noticed I was standing up straighter, walking with more purpose, making better eye contact. The clothes looked better because I felt more confident wearing them. But there was also a practical element. When you have systems for getting dressed, when you understand proportions, color relationships, and the third piece rule, getting ready becomes less stressful and more efficient. Instead of standing in front of my closet feeling overwhelmed, I had a framework for making decisions. Instead of second-guessing my choices all day, I knew my outfit worked because I'd followed principles that reliably create polished looks. The budget reality. Here's what really impressed me about everything Carmen taught me. It wasn't about buying expensive things or following trends. It was about making better use of what I already had. The tailoring techniques cost maybe $5 per item in thread and time. The hair polish method worked with products I already owned. The proportion and color principles helped me shop my own closet more effectively. I actually ended up spending less money on clothes because I understood how to make cheaper pieces look expensive, and I stopped buying trendy things that didn't work with my existing wardrobe. Carmen showed me how to identify versatile pieces that could work in multiple outfit combinations, how to choose accessories that complemented several different looks, and how to build a wardrobe around a cohesive color palette rather than just buying whatever caught my eye. The time factor. The other surprise was how much time these principles saved me in the long run. Yes, there was an upfront investment in learning the techniques and doing some basic tailoring, but once I had systems for getting dressed, everything became faster and easier. Instead of trying on 5 different outfits and still feeling unsure, I could put together a polished look in 10 minutes because I understood the principles behind what worked. Instead of buying accessories impulsively and then never wearing them, I chose pieces strategically that worked with multiple outfits. Instead of feeling like I had nothing to wear despite having a full closet, I could see all the different combinations available to me. What people started noticing. After implementing Carmen's techniques for about a month, people started commenting on my style. Not just cute outfit, but things like, "You always look so put together and you have such good style." The thing is, I wasn't wearing anything dramatically different. I was wearing basically the same clothes, just styled according to professional principles. But the effect was cumulative. The better fitting clothes, combined with the polished hair technique, combined with the strategic third pieces and balanced proportions, created an overall impression of someone who knew what she was doing. People started assuming I was more successful, more organized, more confident than I actually was, which in a weird feedback loop actually made me more confident and organized. The professional secret about effortless style. Carmen told me something that really stuck with me. The most effortless looking style actually requires the most planning. She explained that people who always look casually perfect aren't just naturally stylish. They've developed systems and principles that they follow consistently. They understand their proportions, they know their color palette, they have go-to formulas for different occasions. She said, "What looks effortless is actually the result of understanding exactly what works for them." This is why some people can throw on jeans and a t-shirt and look incredibly chic, while others can spend an hour getting dressed and still look like they tried too hard. It's not about the clothes themselves. It's about understanding fit, proportions, color relationships, and how to add the right finishing touches. The connection to everything else. Understanding these styling principles connected back to everything I'd learned about confidence and psychology from the earlier parts. When your clothes fit well and your proportions are balanced, you feel more comfortable in your body. When your colors are coordinated and your accessories are intentional, you feel more put together. When you have reliable systems for getting dressed, you feel more confident and less stressed. All of that shows up in your posture, your facial expressions, your energy, which makes the styling work even better. But it also connected to the practical stuff. The same attention to detail and systematic thinking that made my skincare routine work better also improved how I approached my wardrobe. The same understanding of how to enhance rather than hide that transformed my makeup also changed how I chose and wore clothes. The hidden cost of looking expensive. But Carmen warned me about something that I hadn't considered. When you start looking more polished and put together, people's expectations of you change. People will assume you have more money than you do, she said. They'll expect you to maintain this level of polish consistently, and they might treat you differently, better in some ways, but also with different assumptions about your lifestyle and priorities. She was right. As I started looking more polished, people began assuming I was spending a lot more on clothes and beauty than I actually was. Some friends started making comments about me getting fancy or changing, but I also noticed people taking me more seriously professionally, including me in conversations I'd been left out of before, and generally treating me with more respect. It was a trade-off that I decided was worth it, but it's something to be aware of as you start implementing these principles. The sustainability factor. One thing I really appreciated about Carmen's approach was that it was inherently sustainable. Instead of chasing trends or constantly buying new things, the focus was on understanding timeless principles and making better use of what you already have. The tailoring techniques meant clothes fit better and lasted longer. The color coordination principles meant I could mix and match more effectively, getting more outfits from fewer pieces. The quality over quantity mindset meant I stopped buying cheap things that would fall apart or go out of style quickly. It was actually a more responsible approach to fashion, both financially and environmentally. Where this connects to the bigger picture. By this point, with the skin prep routine, the confidence psychology, the makeup techniques, and the styling principles, I was starting to see how all these elements work together as a complete system. Each piece reinforced the others. The confidence from having routines that worked made the styling more effective. The polished appearance from better styling boosted my confidence even more. The time saved from efficient systems gave me more mental energy to maintain everything consistently. But Carmen hinted at something else that would tie it all together even more effectively. She mentioned that there were budget strategies and product sourcing techniques that could make everything I'd learned even more accessible and sustainable. Most people think looking polished requires spending a lot of money, she said. But when you know where to find the right products and how to maximize what you invest in, you can create expensive-looking results on any budget. That's where we're going next, into the Budget Beauty Underground, the places to find professional quality products for student prices, which drugstore items are actually better than luxury alternatives, and how to build a complete system that delivers incredible results without destroying your bank account. Because here's what I learned. All the techniques in the world don't matter if you can't afford to implement them consistently. The real secret is understanding how to get professional results on a realistic budget. And there are sources, strategies, and substitutions that most people never discover. But that can completely change what's possible for you financially. Are you ready to learn where the real deals are hiding?